Francis, whose real name was Jorge Mario Bergoglio, was the first ever pope from the Americas and the first non-European in more than 1,200 years. He was also the first Jesuit to lead the world's almost 1.4 billion Catholics. Born in Buenos Aires to a working-class family of Italian immigrants, he studied to become a chemical technician, before deciding to go down the path of priesthood shortly before turning 17. Francis was ordained as a priest in 1969 and went on to lead Argentina's Jesuits at only 36 years old. In 1998, he became the Archbishop of Argentina's capital, Buenos Aires, and 3 years later, he was made a cardinal. Then in March 2013, he was elected Pope Francis I, taking over from Benedict XVI, who had stepped down. The first pontiff to do so since the Middle Ages. Francis vowed to remove the Vatican-centric hierarchy of the Catholic Church. He will go down in history as a radical pontiff. From his election in March 2013, Pope Francis championed the poor and the vulnerable.
Francesco è l'uomo della pace e così è venuto il nome nel mio cuore. Francesco d'Assisi, l'uomo della povertà, l'uomo della pace. Come vorrei una chiesa povera e per I poveri.
Dubbed the People's Pope, the Argentine pontiff forged a more open and compassionate Catholic Church than his predecessor, though he faced bitter opposition from traditionalists within the Church. The football-loving former Archbishop of Buenos Aires staunchly defended the most disadvantaged, from prisoners to migrants to communities battered by climate change.
Call for a courageous and responsible effort to redirect our steps and to avert the most serious effects of the environmental deterioration caused by human activity. I'm convinced that we can make a difference. I'm sure.
He promised an end to impunity and changed Vatican law to help tackle sexual abuse within the Church.
Fratelli e sorelle, questa è la vergogna che oggi tutti noi dobbiamo prendere in mano e chiedere perdono e risolvere il problema.
Francis allowed divorced and remarried believers to receive communion and approved the baptism of transgender people and blessings for same-sex couples.
Condannare una persona così è peccato. Criminalizzare le persone di tendenza omosessuale è una ingiustizia.
Critics accused the Pope of creating doctrinal confusion and failing to defend traditional Catholic beliefs on key issues. Tensions with the conservative Catholics marked the Synod Congress that met at the Vatican at the end of 2023, part of a years-long global consultation on the future of the Church, that Francis now leaves unfinished. Despite being plagued by health issues over the last years, he kept up a relentless schedule at both the Vatican and frequent trips abroad, including a four-nation Asia-Pacific tour in September 2024.
Diliu ami jovem, orgulho e a minha bela colher olha fua, também e também sentimento na beca a minha bela colher sai.
Francis's desire to chart a different path was evident right to the end, with the decision to be buried not at St. Peter's Basilica, but at Rome's Santa Maria Maggiore. He will become the first pope in more than 100 years to be laid to rest outside the Vatican, also rejecting the tradition of popes having 3 nested coffins, instead choosing to be buried in just one. His death sets in motion centuries-old traditions, which will culminate in a gathering of a conclave of cardinals to choose a successor. In the meantime, the day-to-day running of the Vatican will be held by the Carmelengo, a senior cardinal, currently Dublin-born Kevin Farrell.